Hey there YouTube! If you're watching this video, this means you have some interest or curiosity about paragliding. In my few years of flying, I got all sorts of questions about the sport. I put some of those questions together and I will try to answer them in this video the best I can through my experience and knowledge gathered over the past 3 years. Keep in mind that I'm a fresh licensed pilot, not a trained instructor, and all the information in this video is my personal opinion as I see it and is intended to give you a general idea about the sport. If you want to start paragliding, you should seek advice from a trained professional. Now that we established that, let's go ahead with some frequently asked questions I get about paragliding. What is a paraglider and is it the same as a parachute? In not so many words, a paraglider is a lightweight, unmotorized, foot-launched aircraft. The pilot sits suspended in a harness below a fabric wing connected by strong suspension lines. Even though the paraglider derived from the parachute, the two are very different in many aspects. The shape is different in such a way that the wing of a paraglider has a bigger glide ratio than the one of a parachute. The materials of which they are made of are very different. The parachute is designed to withstand the force of opening at high speeds of free falling, while the paraglider is designed to be foot-launched, so already opened on launch. The harnesses are designed differently. The harness of a paraglider is designed for comfort, as a paraglider can stay in the air for hours, while the harness of skydiving is designed to withstand the force of stopping the pilot from free falls. Is paragliding dangerous? Well, it depends on how you define dangerous. Smoking is dangerous, driving can be dangerous, people often injure themselves falling on the streets in wintertime. Paragliding is dangerous in the same way other sports out there are. Rollerblading, bike riding, skiing or snowboarding, rock climbing. It depends on the decisions you make, how far you push your limits and how much time you reserve yourself for learning to fly. The advantage of flying is that you can choose to fly in areas where few people are flying and therefore you can take out other people's mistakes from the equation. So, in some ways, I would say paragliding is less dangerous than riding a bike or driving a car in traffic. What you can't do when you fly is pull over. Once you take off, you have to land. You can't just stop in the middle of the flight. So, the decision of taking off is crucial to the safety of the sport. Also, it depends on what you are flying for. You can do it for recreational reasons and fly in calm weather for the peace and freedom feeling, which offers you a high level of safety. Or you can do it for the adrenaline rush by doing acrobatic stunts or competing in tournaments, which makes the sport a bit more dangerous, but that is up to you. As additional safety measures, we also have at least one reserved parachute for emergency situations. I'm saying at least one because you can take in the air up to 3 reserved parachutes for more safety or paranoia purposes. Is it expensive? How much does it cost? Expensive is a relative term. It depends on how much money you make, I guess. But I think paragliding is the cheapest way to fly. Other than your equipment that can cost from 2,000 euros, the minimum necessary gear, up to tens of thousands of euros, you only need traveling money. The minimum gear would be the harness, the reserve parachute, the wing, a helmet, gloves, and a pair of boots. But if you want to get more out of the sport, you will need some gadgets as well, like a Vario GPS system for flying long distances, radio, and so on. So, you decide if paragliding is expensive or not. But if flying is a must for you, then paragliding is the cheapest and most versatile way to go in my opinion. Can I learn by myself or should I join a paragliding school? Many people did. The pioneers of paragliding taught themselves how to fly. But is it safe? Probably not as safe as learning to fly in a controlled environment, with an instructor guiding you through the whole process. There is a lot of structured theory behind the sport that you have to know before being able to make good decisions, like knowing how to read the weather, knowing your equipment and understanding what everything does, what to do in extreme situations. Things that you can progressively learn from a teacher. Anyways, learning how to fly on your own, it's illegal in many countries nowadays. At least in Romania it is. So, on this one, I would say no. Don't try learning on your own, because it would be unwise in my opinion, and also illegal. How did you start? I started by doing a tandem flight just to see what paragliding is about. In tandem flights, there are 2 seats, and you are only the passenger as a trained pilot is flying the wing. I asked the pilot about joining a paragliding school. The paragliding community is not that big, so everybody knows pretty much everybody else. The guy recommended the Skydive school in Brasov. I will add their information in the description. Most paragliding schools have such a thing as a demo training day, which can give you a general idea about what you are getting yourself into. I did the demo, and after that I was hooked. Turns out the recommendation was perfect for me, and here we are. I'm finally flying on my own. How long does it take to learn how to fly? I just became a pilot myself, but from what I hear from more experienced pilots, you never stop learning. There is always something new to discover in this sport. But learning to fly up to the point that you will get your license and start learning new things on your own depends on a couple of factors. The country you live in. Each country has its own rules and regulations. There are countries where there is no need to complete a course or even have a license to fly. In Romania, the pilot license is internationally recognized, meaning that you have to complete a course and take an exam for the license. So you will need time to train and learn to be able to get it right. In order to be eligible for the exam, you will have to complete 50 hours of theory and 15 hours of flight. The flight hours can take months because in the beginning you will do small flights that are less than a minute. By the time I completed the 15 flight hours, I had about 110 takeoffs, just so you can make a general idea. The weather and your disponibility. Paragliding is very dependent on the weather, especially in the beginning of the learning process. The conditions have to be just right in order for you to learn the basics of flying. But the weather can be unpredictable, so you don't really know how many good days of good weather you get in a year. And if you have a job and you are not available for those good days of learning, you might discover that a year has passed and you didn't get very far with flying. Or you could take your vacation days for flying and the weather forecast changes at the last moment, and those days are gone and you didn't get to learn as much as you thought you would. This can be very frustrating. My advice is to be patient and understand that in this sport there are some things you can't control. You just go with the program. And when you are in a paragliding school, you still get to fly, so it doesn't really matter if you don't have the license yet. That time will come. Your instructor and his teaching techniques. There is no precise standard for teaching, so each instructor has its own methodology of teaching. Some prefer the safe way of keeping the students on the ground more to learn the way a paraglider works by only inflating the wing on the ground and exercising with that. This is called ground handling. Then taking off from small slopes, progressing to steeper ones, and only after that going to the mountains and start doing big flights. Other instructors choose to take their students to the mountains after only a few small flights. Also, the theory can be taught in different ways. Some do it indoors from books, while others do it on the field by showing examples. Some mix it up. In my opinion, finding the instructor that uses teaching methods that are compatible with the way you learn best is essential to the time you will need to progress. Your own capacity of learning, your skills, your learning curve. I got my license in 3 years, but I have colleagues that got their license in less than 3 months. There is such a thing called the learning curve, which is different for each individual. In this scenario, I would draw this curve using 2 variables, the learning speed and the confidence with which you put yourself in new unknown situations. Putting yourself into too many new situations would get you to progress faster, but it would also mean putting yourself in danger more. So, you can learn quicker by sacrificing your safety or by being fearless if you want. From what I noticed, younger students tend to progress much faster because they tend to be more fearless than the older ones that play it on the safe side. Can anyone do it? Is there any age restriction? Is there a weight limit? In my country, you have to be at least 16 years old to be eligible for the exam. Other than that, pretty much anyone can do it. The weight limit depends on the equipment available out there. However, the weight limits are ranging from somewhere around 40 kilograms up to 120 kilograms. For more than 120 kilograms, there are tandem wings that can hold up to 240 kilograms, or you can probably try to order a custom design specially for your weight. How high up can I go? The regulations in Romania allows us to fly to an altitude of 3,050 meters, or 10,000 feet. With certain permissions from the authorities, maybe more. Even though the rules are limited to this altitude, a paraglider could go higher, but you would have to endure extreme cold temperatures and lack of oxygen. For how long can I stay up in the air? We fly under the visual flight rules, which means you have to see when you fly. So under those rules we are allowed to fly for as long as there is light outside. Legally, you can stay up in the air from sunrise till sunset. But there is a catch though. The paraglider is always falling, so you have to find thermals to get back up and stay in the air for long periods of time. Thermals are columns of rising air caused by the difference in temperature. The thermaling technique is something you can learn and perfect in time. So, the more experience you get, the more time you can stay in the air. Can I fly anywhere I want? Paragliding is a fun hobby and a versatile form of flight with lots of places where you can paraglide. However, there are some restrictions regarding where you can fly. First of all, you need to have permission from the landowners in order to take off and land on their property. Then there is the relief. You need a steep enough hill to be able to take off and actually fly. It's like skiing, you can't do it on flat land. Well, you can, but it's not fun. Also, there are restrictions of flying on other types of flight paths, like commercial plane flight paths and within a certain radius of airports. There are other restrictions that I surely missed out, but you get the picture. It's best to check out the rules and regulations in your country in order to know exactly what the restrictions are for a specific area. There are maps that hold a lot of information about no-fly zones and restricted areas. Another wise idea would be to fly in designated areas where local pilots are constantly flying, and there are lots of those all over the world. This way, you can be sure all legal steps are already taken care of. And also you have the guidance of the pilots that know the place. Can I fly in all seasons? Yes, you can fly all year long as the weather conditions are good for flying, and if you can withstand the cold of winter time. Why paragliding? What makes paragliding so special? What do you like about paragliding? Well, the feeling of freedom, the peace and quiet the sport offers me. From time to time, the adrenaline rush of getting into the unknown or trying new things. For me, paragliding is therapy and a lifestyle. When I first started, I was going through a difficult period in my life. Paragliding gave me something exciting to look for. I met new people and made lots of great friends. When I'm flying, all of my attention is there. My mind can't wander around. The focus necessary for flying took my mind off all of those overwhelming feelings that I had at the time, giving me a break from time to time and allowing everything to settle in such a way that I was okay with. Let's just say that when I'm flying, all of my problems and responsibilities remain on the ground. Lifestyle, because it mixes up well with my other hobbies: traveling, hiking, the outdoors, camping with the team in a faraway flying spot. If the weather is not good for paragliding, I often find climbing spots nearby so I can fill the day with some other thing I enjoy doing. I like that I can pack all my gear in a backpack and just hit the road to a new flying spot whenever I want. And of course, I like the feeling of flying, which cannot be compared to anything else. The community is awesome as well. Because the sport is inherently dangerous, whenever you make a mistake, pilots tend to praise you rather than mock, laugh, or put you down. They are always ready to give good advice, share from their knowledge or experience, and answer questions you might have. Whenever you are in a bad situation, there is always someone to jump in and help. Do you have any advice for me? Do a tandem flight first. Listen to your instructor. Wear long sleeves and protect yourself from the sun. Always wear your protective gear, especially the boots, at least in the beginning while you are still perfecting your landing. Be patient. There is a lot of waiting. Waiting for good days, waiting for good wind, waiting for the perfect weather. Bring water. There will be a lot of standing in the sun. Don't forget to hydrate yourself. If there are other questions you have that I might have missed, feel free to leave me a comment and I will try to answer them. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and I will let you know whenever I post a new video. I'm making videos on various topics, so be sure to check out my channel for all kinds of cool videos, ideas, life hacks, and more. You can help me grow this channel and make more videos by becoming a Patreon. You can find the link in the description. I'm Max from Lifehacker Max and I hope this video satisfied your curiosity about paragliding. Thank you for watching!